Monsanto is a corporation in the state, and there was a huge challenge with them wanting to grow GMO rice in the south of Missouri, and some rice got contaminated, shipment, and of course the rice growers had to sue to get a remedy for that. This will really take away a lot of the neighbors' rights away, that if their crop is contaminated, that person had the right to do with what they wanted on their land. And to think that Monsanto may decide to become a farmer is a little bit scary. To think that this Chinese corporation, Shine Low, which now owns 27% of the pork produced in this country, and I think that's a huge issue in of itself, and one the American people better wake up to. The largest owner of beef in this country is a foreign corporation. The largest owner of poultry in this country is a foreign corporation. And I, as a family farmer, which I don't believe in giving my rights to these corporations, because I know they will not care as much about their community and their neighbors as we do. This is not a constitutional amendment for 99% of the good farmers out there that care about their neighbors and want to do the right things in their communities and do great work. It's about these 1% that want to be bad neighbors, and it's going to give them that right.
Right. I think that's important to know, that there are examples of what has gone on with this type of bad actor, if you will, in other states. Illinois and Iowa have already had a lot of their land polluted because these large CAFOs, the confined animal feeding operations that you're talking about with the pigs or whatever, are they're definitely unsustainable, and they create 7 times more waste than a human per pig, and they do not have a municipal wastewater treatment on site. So the way they store this is unhealthy for the pigs. A couple times a year, then they go and take the waste and put it out on the land. A lot of it runs off, gets into the streams, pollutes the water. So these other states are looking at massive bills that the taxpayers and the ratepayers for those water services are now having to pay. So the taxpayer ends up having to carry the burden of the bad actors when you do not have the farming that is sustainable, and that the farmers that care about the responsible farming.
I think a good example of that is in Des Moines. Iowa has quit issuing permits. The city of Des Moines had to spend $4 million on their wastewater treatment plant to get the manure, if you will, out of the water, and it's costing them an extra $1 million a year to maintain that. And so, the Chinese have not had a good record. 40% of their farmland is already polluted, and they're wanting to go somewhere else. And I think people need to know that in Missouri we created a China hub. And I can remember when I was in the legislature, they said, "Senator, you're going to have to support this China hub. You're part of this pork co-op, this small pork co-op, and you can take your hogs right out of there duty-free." And so, literally we will be just stuck with not a lot of profits and not a lot of the wealth that's created here staying here. Right. Well, I think food security is a huge issue. I think if this passes, I think it'll negate any ability that if people are interested in GMO labeling or any of those other kinds of things, it'll negate that ability in Missouri altogether. I think certainly people are much more aware of where I think the millennials much more aware about where their food comes from, if it's raised humanely, and I think they want to know. I think we never used to have these fights because family farmers always dominated the scene. And today, with the domination switching, and what this will do is certainly lessen the right of consumers to know where their food comes from. It'll lessen their ability to be more active in their food. And I think when we're looking, ownership has its privileges. And when somebody owns that much and takes that off the market or out of the marketplace, our food prices will actually increase in the future. We've seen that. So I think this is really important for consumers to be involved, to know where their food comes from,